Question number 3. Are you in favor of the voter-approved Sustainable Growth Initiative? If so, why? If not, why?
Well, I don't know how many people were here when SGI, the Sustainable Growth Initiative, was started. I think it passed. It was an initiative brought to the voters, I think, in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. And what it did was it grew out of the fact that we had really unprecedented growth in Douglas County in the 1990s and early 2000s. I can remember one year we built 758 new homes in Douglas County. Well, actually, last year in Douglas County we only built 160. So, but in those times when we had a lot of building going on, some people got nervous and they wanted to slow the building down. Excuse me. So they got this voter initiative on the ballot, and it passed, and it restricted the number of units. I think it was 280 units that could be built, single-family units could be built every year. Frankly, I thought that was a little too restrictive. I mean, you know, as an example, we may have another recession. And as you recall, when we had the recession back in 2008, 9 or 10, there was one year we only had 2 or 3 houses built. So the 280 units maximum under the SGI initiative wouldn't really have applied. But let's say the next year, we had a great economy, like under Donald Trump's economy. Things have boomed. And I'm proud to say that I was elected the same day as Donald Trump. But I knew that when he was elected, things would boom. So let's say we had a demand for more than 280 units, say for 300 units or 500 units or whatever, okay? That 280 restriction under SGI would have been, I think, devastating to the county because we had the opportunity for some real good economic development. However, that being said, I believe it was the county at that time sued the SGI movement, and this whole thing was taken to court, whether or not the SGI was legal, and the outcome of that lawsuit is that we now have what we call in Title 20 of our development code, we now have what we call the Building Permit Allocation and Growth Management Ordinance. And that's what we have on the books today. So it says that you can grow by 2% a year, and I believe it started out at 280 units, but it's compounded every year. So this year, I think in 2020, under the Growth Management Ordinance, we can build up to 420 new homes in Douglas County. But as we all know, it's market driven, and the market last year was a booming real estate market. We built 110 new homes in Douglas County last year. That's very moderate. That's slow growth. But we still have the ability, if we had a really good year, that we could build more than that under our existing growth management ordinance. And I think people are, I know that my opponent is spewing out a message that, you know, I'm pro-growth. Well, yes, I am pro-growth, I'm told, like I mentioned before. But we do have a growth management ordinance that was enacted by the Douglas County Commission back in 2007 when it became effective 2008. And I think it's working fine. We haven't met any of the thresholds that we have. So, you know, the fear factor that people are putting out there that we're out of control growth, that we've approved 1,000 units or whatever. A lot of times we haven't approved any of those units. We just approved zoning. But let's assume, you know, we approved 1,000 units. We can't build that many units under the growth ordinance. So that's what I call sustainable growth, and I would I would definitely remain a proponent of that. The other thing under the SGI program is that in the 1996 master plan, we adopted the receiving area ordinance under the master plan. It wasn't an ordinance, just part of the master plan. And what that basically says is receiving areas that receive a land use designation under the master plan. This is one of the updates I was talking about. But receiving areas who are designated that are designated under the master plan are the future areas where we want development to go. Also under the 1996 master plan, we developed a transfer of development rights program called a TDR program. So where people develop in the receiving area, for every house that they build, they have to develop or they have to purchase a development right from a sending area, which are all the ranch lands in Douglas County. And that's the way we preserve our ranch lands. I may have given this example the last time we talked, but I'll give it again. I've been involved in the development business for 35 years, but my role in the development business was in finance, not in actual development of anything. But I did get involved in one project in Douglas County, my only development program or project, and that project is known as Rocky Terrace. It's a really fine project on Centerville Lane. We purchased that land, which was the old Hellwinkle Dairy. It was the last dairy in Douglas County to operate. And we purchased that land, and the owner of Chris Hellwinkle, who owned that property, he had to work with the foresight to see that there was a need for some development in that area, and he, under the master plan, got his ranch designated as a receiving area. So when we bought the land from Chris Hellwinkle, we needed to go out and purchase 90. The project is a total of 90 lots. We needed to purchase 90 development rights. So I went and I negotiated the purchase of 90 development rights from Dal and Barbara Byington, who owned the Gillespie Ranch on Genoa Lane. And the development right, each development right cost Rocky Terrace, the partners, myself and my partners, cost us $5,000 for each development right. So we had to pay the Gillespie Ranch $450,000 for the right to build 90 homes in Rocky Terrace. That gave the Gillespie, the Byingtons, sufficient money to continue and sustain their ranching operations, but it placed a permanent easement. I can't remember the number, maybe 700 or 800 acres, but it placed a permanent easement on that many acres on their ranch. So that ranch, that portion of that ranch, can never be developed. And that's how the TDR program works. And so I'm a real strong proponent of the TDR program. And I think, getting back to the Sustainable Growth Initiative, the 280 units each year was a little restrictive, and it impacted the TDR program. So I think the growth ordinance is working well. The new receiving area that we granted to Mr. Park will probably be developed in the next 25 or 30, 40 years, but it'll be developed faster than any of the other receiving areas on the books because they'll never be built, in my opinion. So by developing in that receiving area, that 1,000 plus acres on Buckeye Road, it will preserve thousands of acres of the beautiful ranchlands we have here in Douglas County. So that was a long answer to the SGI initiative. That's my answer.